For decades, dogs have been throwing themselves off the same spot on a bridge in Scotland. Not occasionally. Not randomly. Always the same side. Always the same spot. And some of them survive, climb back up, and jump again. Overtown Bridge sits on the edge of Overtown Estate near the town of Dumbarton in West Dunbartonshire, Scotland. It's a granite arch bridge built in 1895, surrounded by dense woodland, with a stream running 40 to 50 feet below. It looks exactly like the kind of place that belongs on a postcard. But since at least the 1950s, this bridge has been the site of something that has drawn animal behaviorists, journalists, and documentary crews from across the world, and has never been fully explained. Dogs walked across this bridge have been leaping over the parapet wall in alarming numbers. Local records and news investigations have documented somewhere between 50 and 600 incidents since the 1950s, depending on the source and time period. Dozens of those falls have been fatal. The drop on the jump side lands onto the rocky banks of the Overtown burn below. What makes this genuinely difficult to dismiss is the pattern. Almost every incident occurs on the same side of the bridge, in the same section, on clear sunny days, and almost always involves breeds with a pronounced sense of smell, Labradors, Retrievers, Collies. The pattern is too specific to be random, and specific enough to have drawn serious scientific attention. Around 2006, animal behaviorist Dr. David Sands investigated the bridge in a methodical study that has been widely reported in outlets including the BBC and Scientific American. His approach was straightforward: identify what a dog actually perceives at this location versus what a human perceives. What he found was that beneath the parapet on the jump side, and in the vegetation along the rocky banks below, there were significant populations of mink, otters, and squirrels. These animals leave behind intensely musky scent markings. Sands's hypothesis was that scent-driven breeds, dogs whose instinct is to lock onto a smell and pursue it, might become so fixated on that signal that they lose spatial awareness, charging toward the edge without registering that the parapet wall conceals a 50-foot drop. Sands tested this directly. He brought dogs to the bridge and exposed them to scent samples collected from the area. The dogs responded strongly to mink scent in particular, with several pulling hard toward the parapet. This was not a controlled peer-reviewed study, and Sands himself described it as preliminary behavioral observation rather than proof. But the pattern it revealed was consistent: specific breeds, specific scent, specific pull toward the exact section of the bridge where incidents are documented. The parapet wall on the jump side is also relatively low and solid, meaning a dog with its nose down following a ground-level scent trail would have no sight line to the drop until it was airborne. The sunny day pattern is harder to explain with scent alone, but there is a working theory. Warmth and sunlight affect how aromatic compounds are released from vegetation and animal markings. On clear days, the updraft rising from the rocky gorge below could carry concentrated scent upward over the parapet wall, delivering it directly to nose level for a dog walking across the bridge. This remains a theoretical explanation, not a confirmed one. But it is consistent with the documented pattern, and it is the kind of detail that distinguishes serious investigation of this case from simple storytelling. There is one structural detail that researchers consistently return to because it is the hardest part of the pattern to dismiss. The incidents do not happen randomly across the bridge. They happen almost exclusively in one specific section, between the second and third parapets on the right-hand side when walking toward the estate. Not the entrance of the bridge. Not the left side. Not the middle. One localized zone, repeated across decades of reported incidents. Whatever is causing this, the cause appears to be geographically fixed. That level of specificity is what keeps scientists engaged rather than filing this under folklore. Then there is a detail in the behavioral record that is harder to explain than the jumps themselves. Some dogs that survived the fall were retrieved by their owners, brought back to the top of the bridge, and then immediately attempted to jump again. This has been reported by multiple owners and documented in regional news accounts. If the stimulus were simply startling or disorienting, physical trauma would tend to override it. The fact that the drive to approach that section appears to persist even after a fall suggests the signal, whatever it is strong enough to dominate the dog's decision-making repeatedly. Whether that points to the extreme potency of mink scent on certain breeds, or something not yet identified, is still an open question. The scent theory accounts for much of the documented pattern, but animal behaviorists have noted it does not fully explain why the behavior is so extreme. Scent-driven dogs investigate powerful smells constantly without launching themselves off elevated structures. Some researchers have proposed that the enclosed narrow architecture of the bridge creates a channeling effect, concentrating the dog's forward momentum and cutting off lateral perception simultaneously. In this framing, the combination of bridge geometry, scent concentration, and breed instinct may together produce a behavioral cascade that no single factor would produce alone. This remains a hypothesis. It has not been tested under controlled conditions. There is a separate and darker event in the bridge's documented history that is worth addressing directly. In 1994, a man named Kevin Moy walked onto Overtown Bridge and threw his infant son over the parapet. The child died. Moy was arrested, found to be suffering from severe mental illness, and was not convicted in the traditional criminal sense following psychiatric assessment. He was committed for treatment. Investigators and journalists who have covered the bridge have consistently noted this incident appears unrelated to the dog incidents. It is included here because it is part of the verified public record of this location, not because it supports a supernatural interpretation. Some local writers and residents have described Overtown as a thin place, a concept from Celtic spiritual tradition referring to locations where the boundary between the physical world and whatever lies beyond is believed to be unusually permeable. This is not a scientific claim. It is a cultural and spiritual framing that has deep roots in the landscape of the Scottish Highlands, and it is how some people make sense of locations where rational explanations feel incomplete. It is worth knowing the concept exists without treating it as an explanation. The practical response to the bridge has been straightforward. Animal welfare organizations and local councils have posted warning signs near the bridge advising dog owners to keep their pets on leashes while crossing. Those signs are still there. They are an official, government-adjacent acknowledgement that something happens at this specific location with enough regularity and severity to require a public warning. That is not a ghost story. That is a council-approved sign on a bridge in Scotland telling you to hold your dog's leash tighter when you cross a specific section of a specific stone-arched bridge built in 1895. Overtown Bridge is still there and still open to visitors. Dogs still cross it. Incidents have continued to be reported after the major media coverage, though increased owner vigilance following the warning signs may have reduced frequency. The bridge is real, the records are real, the behavioral research is real, and the case has not been closed in any scientific sense. The scent theory is the most credible partial explanation available. It accounts for the breed pattern, the location specificity, and the directional pull. It does not fully account for why the behavior overrides self-preservation in the way documented cases suggest it does. That gap is small, but it is real, and it is where this story continues to live. The most unsettling thing about Overtown Bridge is not the folklore. It is that the scientific explanation is almost complete. The breed pattern fits. The scent evidence fits. The location specificity fits. But dogs that survive the fall and immediately try to jump again do not fully fit. That one detail sits outside the edges of the current explanation, and it has sat there for decades. A bridge in Scotland. A pattern too specific to be coincidence. A scent theory that closes most of the case. And a gap just large enough to keep the file open. If you find these real, documented mysteries as compelling as I do, subscribing means you won't miss the next one.